Welcome to Fear and Greed, the week ahead. I'm Sean Aylmer, and as always, I'm joined by economist Stephen Koukoulas. You'll find him at thekook.com and on X using the handle thekook. Stephen, good morning.
And a good Monday morning to you, Sean.
Been a pretty busy kind of week or so, and we've got plenty more coming this week, but I just want to talk about what happened last week. We had those monthly inflation numbers, which were higher than expected, retail trade building approvals, which were lower, business investment, which was higher. Where do we stand after all that?
That's a nice summary in 20 words. Your backgrounding of what happened last week is really very, very interesting. So I think net, when we cut through the issue in the big picture sense, and of course we'll get more data this week, which we'll talk about shortly, is the economy is weak. There's no doubt about that, and that came through in that retail spending. So again, we consumers, we were reacting to cost of living, to rate hikes, and maybe just the early stages of a weakening in the labour market. So retail spending's been very poor and continued to be poor in the month of April. Building approvals, we're not building houses for this population growth. That's not changing. They were basically dead flat at an 11-year low. So we hear the government talking about we want to build 1.2 million new dwellings over 5 years. That's a monthly average for 5 straight years of 20,000 dwellings per month. We're currently running at about 13,000, so massively short. But the big news, of course, was the inflation number, the monthly inflation number, and it got people a little excited. It ticked up from 3.5% in March to 3.6% in April, and a little above the market forecasts. And it rekindled that discussion. Well, first of all, rate cuts will be pushed way back, possibly to 2025, but it also sparked a few rate hike hawks out there to think, well, maybe the RBA might hike if we don't get that little gentle uptick in inflation the last couple of months being reversed very soon. So jury's out on inflation.
Okay, this week, GDP is a big one, March quarter.
March quarter, that's the big one. And in a sense, as you said, March quarter, here we are in, early June. So March quarter is a long time ago, but it does provide a nice foundation for everybody, economists at the Reserve Bank, Treasury, markets, to rebuild their forecast. Because if you get a particularly strong result, obviously the economy was better than we were performing. Weak result, the opposite, of course. But that said, we know a lot of the building blocks on GDP. We've got net exports, we've got retail sales, as we said. We've got construction activity, which was also out recently. So it's likely to be a very soft result, something around about 0.2 or 0.3 for quarterly GDP growth. The annual figure heading towards 1%, and this is the thing that I think most people will do, and rightly so, is look at it in per capita terms, that population growth is currently running at 0.5, 0.6 per quarter through that high immigration. So unless we get a number that high, we've got another negative on per capita GDP. So the economy is weak. That'll be confirmed on data this week, and that will feed into the RBA deliberations in the middle of June.
I bet they don't cut rates though, Stephen, just because we're all hurting out here.
No, look, I think that's the issue. And we heard from the, relatively new, I think she tells the chief economist.
She's chief economist, Sarah Hunter. Yeah.
Sarah Hunter, she's terrific. And she gave a couple of little speeches in the last little while. One was on housing. The other one was more on the economy more broadly. And she sort of highlighted a few things which say to me that they're not totally spooked by this inflation picture. They did embrace, to some extent, the budget measures which mechanically lower the inflation rate. So the electricity subsidies and the rental assistance. She didn't say that that's going to force them to sort of change materially their mind on interest rates. And she said, look, we are still wanting inflation to come down. But it was just a little bit of an insight that I think reinforced what the governor, Michelle Bullock, said at her most recent press conference, which was, we don't want to hike rates. We know the economy's slow, and we don't want to inflict pain on the household sector, which feeds into higher unemployment, but we would like inflation to be lower sooner than we're currently planning. So, the RBA's got a really difficult dilemma right now.
House prices also, we ended the month on Friday. So, I haven't really looked at that data. What's it look like?
The daily numbers, the high frequency numbers from both CoreLogic and PropTrack, who produced that series too, just by the by. It's up about 0.7, 0.8% for the month of May, annualized around about 8%. But the divergence from city to city is massive. Yeah. Perth is up over 20% in annual terms. Perth is absolutely booming. Adelaide, Brisbane, approximately 15% in annual terms. again, booming. Sydney doing okay, probably about 8% in annual terms. And then you get the laggards. Melbourne, where there's this land tax, which is sort of discouraging investors. House prices probably only up 2 or 3% in annual terms, that is. Whereas good old Hobart, Darwin, Canberra, pretty soggy, not much growth at all. But, really interesting sort of debate about, what's driving Perth. Why is Perth going up 20% when, we've got the rest of the economy under a huge pressure from interest rates?
You have to think there's a bubble or something emerging there.
Could be. Look, I've seen a few explanations. Perth had its borders shut during COVID, so there was no fly in or fly out. And when the borders opened, a lot of people flew in, and there was a shortage of housing, plain and simple. And the mining sector is doing well. There's still a bit of mining capex picking up as well, so they need a few fly-in workers. And if you ain't got no houses, the rents go up, which they are, and prices go up.
Fascinating. Stephen, enjoy the week.
Thank you, mate. Thank you, Sean.
That was economist Stephen Koukoulas, better known as The Kouk, Thekouk. You can find him at thekouk.com and follow him on X using the handle The Kouk. I'm Sean Aylmer, and this is Fear and Greed, the week ahead.